Hi everyone, I'm here working on Attack for bass, and what I'm going to do is pluck and sing through parts of it, then go back and bow. If you want to listen to a full audio recording, you can find that on Canvas. So we're starting at the beginning, and we're going to go from the beginning to 15, and I'm going to pluck and sing. Ready? 1, 2, here we go. D, D, rest, rest. D, D, rest, rest. D, D, rest, rest. D, D, now a whole note, go. D, hold, hold, hold. D, E, F, G, A, and D, 2, 3. A, E, second finger, D, bow lift. D, 2, 3, 4. D, E, F, G, A, and D, 2, 3. A, E, F, D, rest. D, D, rest, rest. D, D, rest, freeze. Now remember, we're not using our fourth finger for F sharp. We are using our second finger for F natural. Okay, so now we're going to play with the metronome. And I'm going to go under tempo. Quarter note is going to equal 84. Ready? 2 down downs in a row. 1, 2, here we go. Rest, rest. Rest, rest. Rest, rest. Rest, rest. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Bow lift. This is up, down, down, up, down, up. Freeze. Good. So now we're at measure 15, and we're going to go from 15 to 31. Singing and plucking. 1, 2, 15, go. D, rest, rest. D, D, rest, rest. D, D, rest, rest. D, D, rest, rest. D, D, A, A. D, D, E, E, D, D, A, D, 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 rest. D, D, rest, rest. D, D, rest, rest. D, D, rest, rest. D, D, rest, rest. D, D, E, E, D, D, A, A. D, D, E, E, D, D, D. Do that much now with the bow. Set your metronome to quarter note equals 84. This time, instead of down, down, it's down, up. But you do have a bow lift right before measure 23. 1, 15, 2, 15, ready, down, up, go. Rest, rest. Rest, rest. Rest, rest. Rest, rest. Rest. Rest, rest. Rest, rest. Rest, rest. Rest, rest. Bow lift. So I told you the wrong measure number for the bow lift. The bow lift is right before measure 31, not before 23. Okay, now 31. This is the part that was on your concert prep sheet. You start open D, first finger A, and then you shift up and put your first finger on yellow and your fourth finger on green and play high D, first finger for C natural, then 4 on the D string, then shift back down. Open D, second finger for F, D, E, first finger A, shift up on the yellow and green, high D, C natural, shift back, 1, G, E, D, A, F, E, D. Okay, now I'm going to do all of that without stopping. Start again at 31. 1, 2, 31, go. Shift up, shift down, shift up, shift down, now let's try that with the bow and the metronome. We're starting at 31. 1, 2, 31, go. Good. Okay, the next part. Measure 39 is the same as measure 5, so I'm not going to go over that too much. Let's go down to 47. 47, you have open E, and then go into half position, that one that's closer to the scroll for F natural, E, F natural, E, F, E, F, E, F, E, F. Sounds like Jaws. And then 51 to the end, we have the same shifting as before, so let's pluck 51 to the end. 1, 2, 51, pluck. D, A, shift up, green, yellow, then where green would be on the D string, shift down, D. Now 2 on the A string. D, C, A, D, D, A, D, D, E, E, D, D, A, D, D, D. Back to your down downs. D, D, rest, 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 rest. Down downs, keep going. Rest, rest. Now end on a whole note. Good. We are going to bow now from 39 through the end of page 2. 39 to the end. 1, 2, with second fingers for F's, not fourth fingers. 1, 2, 39, go. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Bow lift. Bow lift. Remember, don't put it on the red tape. Bow lift, down, down, rest, rest. Rest, rest. Last note. And there you go, attack. Make sure you listen to the recording for it straight through and at tempo.